Thank you for joining us at Toy Fair University. Next up, we have Toys on TikTok Shop, Navigating Discovery E-Commerce. Your moderator is Liz Hunger from TikTok.
All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Liz Hunger. I lead industry relations and regulatory partnerships for TikTok Shop in the US, and I'm thrilled to moderate this morning's panel where we're going to take a dive into the power of discovery e-commerce and TikTok Shop. For anyone who's unfamiliar, TikTok Shop launched in the US in September of 2023, and it seamlessly transitions people from content inspiration to product discovery to purchase, all within the app. We've made TikTok Shop a place where shopping is fun and the experience of discovering new products and brands that bring people joy is pretty cool. And I don't have to convince anyone in this room that what's more fun than shopping for toys. So I'm excited to be here with two amazing brands that sell on TikTok Shop. And before we jump into today's discussion, let's have our panels introduce themselves. So who are you? What's your brand? How'd you get started? And we'll go from there. You want to start? Kick it off, Corey?
Yeah, my name is Corey Schrimpl. I am one of the co-founders of Lost Boy Entertainment. We are a board game publisher and film production company out of Los Angeles, California. It's me, my older brother, and two cousins that run the operation. And we got on TikTok Shop in July of 2024. So we felt like we were pretty early to being on. It was because one of our fellow colleagues in the industry, a fellow who runs the game company Connected Clues, we saw, he was like, I'm selling thousands of games on TikTok Shop. What are you guys doing? And he kind of slapped us across the face to get on the channel because we were already just on there posting and trying to make content. So he got us on to the channel and or onto Shop. And once we were there, we haven't looked back. So.
I see you brought some of your games with you today. What was the first game that sort of kicked everything off on TikTok Shop?
Yeah, so we have 10 games now on TikTok Shop, but what we're best known for is our card game Piles that has had a lot of momentum on TikTok. It's a very visual card game, which is great. You don't have to have your sound on. You can just be scrolling by, and it's visually appealing. It's got speed. It's got familiarity that people, kind of a nostalgic play from when they were kids, and just a very visual process and colorful with a really fast, speedy gameplay. So it's a really engaging piece of content when you scroll by it, and that was the first thing to, we post a few videos, and then one kind of skyrockets, and you kind of see how long you can go for, but we haven't turned back, and it's been the thing to put us on the map, especially on TikTok Shop.
And I can attest, my colleagues and I played yesterday, and it is very fun and very fast-paced.
It is our favorite.
All right, Adam.
Thank you. My name's Adam Rivard, so I'm with Bippets, and our story is a little bit different. I was an aerospace manufacturing engineer running and making parts for jet engines and airplanes and all over using 3D printing, and then one day my son asked me to 3D print him a dragon, so I made him a dragon, and it came out really cool. I'd never made anything fun. I'd always made just parts and things like that. Made a dragon, showed it to a couple friends and family, and they said, this is really cool, you got to make a website so people can buy these. So I did the traditional, I'm going to go make a website, go on other platforms, and at the same time, it happened to be September 2023, and an ad came across my screen and said, hey, there's this thing called TikTok Shop coming out. I was never really big into social media, but I said, sure, we'll try it. Posted on there, and I think within the first week we had a video go viral, and we sold our little T-Rex dinosaurs, and it kind of freaked me out because we had to go and make these and sell them, and I was working 80 hours a week doing my other job, but it completely changed our lives. We went from one little 3D printer in our basement in September. The first 3 months we did $100,000 and had a whole print farm in our basement and kind of set our entire team up, and then we scaled it from there. And I'm one of those stories that TikTok Shop, we wouldn't exist without it. The biggest thing for us is it was a means to, from our basement in Little Somers, Connecticut, actually reach a very mass audience and grow that following in a way that we could connect with the entire country, where you normally can't from a little farm town in Connecticut. So it literally put us on the map.
Also brought some guests with
I
you today.
did.
Can you
So
introduce
one
them?
of our big things, and that's made us really successful on those platforms, is bringing personality to our characters and things like that. This is Portia. She's one of our newest characters. So we have articulating 3D printed fidgets. We do everything from our little bitty bippets, they're our tiny little 1 to 2 inch ones, all the way up through our colossal size here. And the really fun thing about TikTok is that you get that interaction, whether it's through your short video content. We've done a lot of live streaming, and we get to build that relationship where you actually build that emotional connection with your product, but also the people on the platform. They're not just people at that point. They're not just a username. I mean, we know that some of these people are our best friends now, and I've never even met them in person, but we talk to them on live streams and we do other things. So it's been a lot of fun building that personality into your product, but also building that personality into our brand through TikTok.
So I'm going to stick with you, Adam, and you kind of started to touch on this. So, since TikTok Shop launched in the US 2 years ago and you were, kind of there at the beginning, brands like yours have joined the platform and many have experienced tremendous growth and success, which you also touched on. So can you talk to us about when you launched on TikTok Shop, how the platform helped your brand get discovered?
I think the biggest thing for us was that just the way the algorithm on TikTok works is you don't have to have a big following to get a big video. It's all about engagement and getting a video that hits right. So our first one was a little T-Rex dinosaur. All we did is I just had a little dancing T-Rex dinosaur. I had it standing, I had it sitting, and it just it danced. And at the time, I say it went viral. I think it had 40 or 50,000 views on it. But we sold hundreds of them off that video. And then you kind of just run with it. The biggest thing for us is that you can build that community quickly and engage with people really fast. But also you can get feedback on your product. So we're really fortunate. 3D printing allows us to iterate really quickly. We can have new products come out. So if something's going really well, we can run with that. Or if it's not going well, we can pivot from that. And I can't think of another platform where you get such real-time feedback and you can develop your products and iterate and actually react to that in a quick way. So that's what we did. We went with one line, and then we were really fortunate. We got through the holiday season, and then my favorite story is my wife and our followers. We made these for kids originally. And then we found out our real customer base is adults. The adults bought it for their kids, then they want to buy them for themselves, and that's what drove our biddy size, our little ones, because the adults don't want to be playing with toys in their office. So we made our biddy size, and those things completely put us on the map. But that's all based on feedback we got through the platform from our customers.
There we go. Sort of what's your take on how, the platform has helped you all grow?
Yeah, it's been the biggest growth platform for us sales. Just getting eyeballs, there's nothing like it. I would say we had to switch our approach when getting on the platform. As 30-year-old millennial, I was raised on Instagram and the previous social networks, so I was kind of treating TikTok as a start of like a follower-centric platform and trying to just service my followers and give them content that they want. And I don't want to repeat content because, no, they're going to get bored of it. They'll get old of it. And then when, like you said, it's a discovery platform and it doesn't matter how many followers you have. And followers is really a vanity metric when it comes to TikTok. It's not the most important thing because you can create something that has endless potential and endless reach. And all it takes is a time investment. For us, starting a little family business, the marketing budget was nothing. So if I can just spend a time investment and the results are exponential, and you can't even compare. So when we wrapped our head around, hey, we are going to make as much content as we can, and we are going to put it out into the world. We're going to experiment. We're going to try X, Y, Z. Z worked. All right, now we're going to use that as much as we can and not focusing on maybe the follower who's engaging with us every time, which is great because we're getting awesome feedback, but I'm also trying to reach the person who hasn't scrolled quite yet and is going to get our stuff. So once we wrapped our head around that and have trained our mind, hey, this TikTok's a new beast, we really started to amplify and started to kind of just take it to the next level of what our content strategy could be on there. And the results have been astounding.
That's awesome. And, you both in your stories, they're very unique about your companies. And there's a large element of storytelling, right, when you're connecting with folks on the platform. And you both understand the importance of that connection in order to get people interested in your brand and ultimately to make a purchase. So expanding on what you've sort of both just said, can you tell us about that storytelling element of your product and how that's helped you create a community, whether it's around games or around just the love of, quite frankly, dinosaurs and fidget toys for all ages? But can you talk a little bit about that? And Adam, do you want to start?
Sure. I think there's two sides of it. One of the really cool things about TikTok is that it changed why people are buying. For us, at least, people are buying because of our team and our people and our company just as much as the product that was out there. So the storytelling element of the product is important, but we found that we got more engagement beyond just the product of just our team doing our silly, quirky antics at the shop or different things like that. And also telling the story of what our product has done. We have endless stories that we've heard of people using the product for different things, whether it's for sensory stimulation or different cases where they're using it to help themselves. And we got that feedback, and then we could amplify those stories. So maybe you normally would get an email in and you hear a really cool story, but how do you get that out to the masses? When you're getting that story told to you during a TikTok live stream, and then thousands of people are now hearing that story, and then you can build short content around that, and you can then repost that. That was the biggest thing for us. So the product itself and building the story around the product helped, but for us, it was actually building the bigger story around the brand and the company and the people that are in it.
Is there, if you can share, is there a particular story that's been really meaningful to you that you've heard, either on product feedback or just someone saying, hey, this product either changed my life or helped me or helped my kids?
Yeah, we have. There's a couple really cool ones. So we have one that hit me really early on. Is we actually had a follower that in our live stream, she disclosed to us that she used our little bitty Bip-Its, and she actually quit smoking using them. And it was just something to get that sensory stimulation in her hand and replace having the cigarette in her hand. The one that still to this day gives me chills and I get goosebumps is that in the middle of one of our live streams, we had one of our customers is an EMT, and she bought a bunch of our products and she kept them in the ambulance with her, and they went into a situation that there was a child that was coming out of an abuse situation, and the child was just shut down. They couldn't communicate with her. She'd been through a lot, and she didn't want to talk. They handed her one of our little T-Rex dinosaurs and just let her be for a little bit, and I now know the term. It's called grounding. But from a psychological perspective, they gave it to her. She settled, and after 10 or 15 minutes, they could actually treat her and communicate with her. And that, to me, your product has to have a meaning, right? It's great to make money. It's great to build a brand, but if it's not really helping people, why are you doing it? And from that moment on, that's been kind of our driving force of all this, is get these in the hands of people to help them and continue to hear stories like that.
That's amazing. And, it's sort of a grounding moment for us all about just the power of toys and the effect that they have on our lives, and sort of, I'm sure it's amazing to see something that you've created that's been so powerful for another person. All right, Corey. So tell us about storytelling with games. What's the community you've created as a massive board game player from when I was a kid, and I'm thrilled to see that, this is coming back and families are really enjoying it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere, which is cool to see. From our end, when it comes to the storytelling, we will let the game do the talking. So when people think of TikTok, when I talk about it a lot, they're like, oh, are you doing the dances? Are you doing the trends and the music and all that stuff? And I go, no, I think that stuff adds a % or two here or there, but that's not the bulk of the reason why things are successful. So we've taken an approach, and I think our industry is so lucky on TikTok because we have such interesting, entertaining products, whether it's a card game or a board game or a dragon that moves or anything on this hall. If the product is good, which I think is you gotta always remember, is your product good? Is your game good? Is what you're putting out there good and bring value? And then highlight that and show that and let it do the talking for us. So in our case, we're so lucky that we get to play our games on camera. We get to experiment with the angles and with the timing and the moments of the gameplay. But that's what the story we're trying to tell, the story of the gameplay, the beginning, the middle, the climax of the end. We're trying to figure out those points on TikTok, what people are interested in. The big huzzah moment when the game ends or when someone makes a big mistake. We're telling the story through those games, and if the games are designed in the best way possible, those will naturally come out. It does take some work and some experimenting, some A/B testing to figure out what you put out there. But that's been the leading. We've never, our egos get in the way sometimes. We're like, let's get on camera, let's do a little more. And it's like, these are way more interesting than I could ever be. So we figured that out, and that's been been our strategy moving forward. And I think that's what we're always going to rely on. So if you have an awesome product, I don't think you always need to talk about the details. I don't think you need to talk about how it works. I think that's all supplemental stuff. But if you can just show the best use case for it and play it and have fun and it's authentic with your target audience, and you can stir up some engagement that way, that's been the sauce for us as far as how we can get these videos to consistently go viral. Because I think going viral is not a great strategy. But if you can create a formula that's consistent, I think that is the strategy that you can rely on, rather than just saying, hey, we're going to cross our fingers over here.
One thing real quick, because Corey mentioned it, is authenticity is huge. Once we got into this a while, we actually brought on a team member, and we thought we needed to make our videos more professional, and we needed to add it all production value and all that. And that actually took away from our content a lot really fast. So authenticity is huge, and my advice is don't overproduce it. Don't try to make it so perfect. Like, just get some content out there, make it real, make it something that you could see in your living room or at your house, and it usually does a lot better.
Yeah, to add on that, because we have a film production side of our business, and my brother's the filmmaker. I am not, but he doesn't touch what we do behind the camera because he wants it too perfect. It's okay for the time investment to get. You're not putting out slop, but you're not investing your whole entire day on one piece that could flop. So I've always thought the quantity has been a little bit more important, and not being a perfectionist, which I'm not a perfectionist, so that works for me, but I know a lot of people are, and it's hard to let that go when you're creating your content or having your employee create the content. There's things you can be a perfectionist on, but more videos, I think, has been the key to getting out there, because it goes back to my final point of you're getting more content out there, more eyeballs can potentially see it, and a lot of it is a numbers game, and so that consistency really, really helps when you find it.
In piece, for those folks who may be in the audience and are like, I've never created, a TikTok before. What is live? What have you learned both from what has worked and surprised you or hasn't when just creating content around your brands? Because I imagine it's a bit of a trial and error process. This worked, this didn't. So in creating content and building your brands, what have you learned from that?
It's a lot of trial and error. The biggest thing I say is don't be afraid to start. You don't know until you try it, and there's no one recipe that works for everybody. Unfortunately, if there was just hey, go do this, this, and this, and you're going to be hugely successful on TikTok, everyone would be, right? For us, it's a lot of trial and error, and it's a big part of it is just consistency too. Our most viral video, I literally filmed it. I was walking down the stairs on my way to go to my day job, and I saw our little bearded dragon, and I took a little video of it jumping out of a heart-shaped box, and that thing's got 3-point-something million views on it, or whatever it may be. So some of it's just trial and error. I do agree with Corey. I mean, I think figuring out what works and then starting to build a formula that works for your brand and your specific. It's not going to be universal across everybody, but finding those things and then starting to create that recipe of, okay, it has to have this little piece and this one. One thing we were talking about earlier, right before we came out here, was some of it's hard to articulate and actually pinpoint. Some of it's just a feel of how you're editing the video. And I mean, you get a second or two to actually catch someone's attention on the platform. They're scrolling through and you got to get them real quick. So figuring out what those hooks are that work for your brand. I see all kinds of TikTok consultants out there and everyone that says, I'll teach you the hooks and all that, but it's unique. It's got to be something that works for your brand and is authentic. But my biggest thing is you just try it and then start to figure out what works and then build on those pieces that work.
Yeah, I'll bounce off that a little bit more. So because I know a lot of us probably started, right, and we're posting and maybe we're stuck in that 300 view jail or whatever your number is if you can't get out of it. And say you do end up getting something that kind of breaks through. I would study that piece of content as much as you can, because study the comments, what are people saying, study the data behind the scenes of, all right, when are people turning it off, but what are people saying, what was it about this video, and then double down on that as much as you can. You're not going to get penalized for doubling down on a style that worked. So we started doing that. We tried 20 different ways before this one style worked for our piles game, and then we rode that train until the tracks came off. Like we were just go, and that was what propelled us. So there's a lot of that. We like A/B testing when it comes to ads, but do it with your content. And there's going to be silly TikTok things that are the reason the content went viral, and you kind of got to put your ego out of the way. One of them is I had a Christmas shoot, and we were shooting this game, Cheers to the Governor, and just around the table, hand shot going like this. And then I posted a handful of videos. None of them worked. Boom, one viral, 10 million plus. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so brilliant. How am I so brilliant at this? And then I look at all the comments, and there's a cat in the video, and it's just meows at the perfect time. And so what I'm trying to say is, put more cats in your videos. No, but there's little things, and I can have 10 examples. I messed up on a comment. I messed up on, there's someone misheard something, and it's all sort of engagement that just got the snowball rolling. So when you find those little things that help, and plus your system content, for like your systematic formula that you've got, it all is just stacking on top of each other, and it's going to really work out in the long run. And you can take that to your boss, or you can take that with your own company and say, we can build on this. This is not just a hope and a prayer for a viral video. So pay attention to what you're putting out and what worked and what didn't, because I've gotten into the habit of posting over and over the same video that has flopped, and that's like the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over. So I got to catch myself all the time of, hey, we got to try something new here. You got to put in a little effort.
Fantastic advice from both of you. So let's sort of pivot to live shopping, which is something that you've both touched on, and it is a critical part of discovery e-commerce and helping people discover and interact with brands specifically. So Adam, I'll start with you. What has been your approach to live shopping on TikTok Shop?
For us, it's creating an experience that supplements the product. So when we first started doing our live shopping, we were a little bit unique in that we kind of mixed entertainment with live shopping. Our whole approach was, we're replacing the sitcom that you're watching on your show, and you're going to be here and watching us on TikTok Shop Live instead. So we would have entertainment. We actually had co-hosts coming in and different people, so there was a lot of banter, and people were there for that. But at the same time, the product, as Corey was saying, the product has to be good, right? You have to have a product that speaks for itself. So we would have a variety of different formats. A big thing for us on live shopping is building momentum. Most people outside of your regular followers, you're getting them for a couple seconds, and they've got to feel that energy when they're coming through, just enough to get that enter room rate. You got to get them to click on that video and actually enter the live, not just be scrolling through. So there's got to be some sort of energy. There's got to be some sort of hero image. There's got to be something that catches them. And then once there's tactics that we use. There's a lot of things we really try to gamify things a lot. So there's things you can do with giveaways, with milestones when you get to certain followers or likes or shares or whatever it may be. And yes, you're investing some in that, but to us, the more we gamified it, the more we got that engagement from non-followers. And that's a huge thing for the live stream is, I mean, we could go gain hundreds of followers in an hour if you do it right on a live stream, whereas if you have a video, you might get a lot of views, but converting views to followers is a little bit tougher. So gamification was a really big thing for us. And then consistency. The one thing that we've gone back and forth and we've done really well, and other times not as well, as if people expect you to be there, you're going to have your core audience, and the core audience is the one that are most likely engaging in the comments and actually giving that engagement, which then boosts you on the For You page and gets more eyeballs on you. So you have to have both. You have to have your core audience that's going to be there, that's giving the comments, giving the interaction, which then starts to boost it. But then you have to have something that's eye-catching and gamified or whatever it may be to get those new viewers in that's going to hook them for that 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and then hopefully they stay for a few minutes and eventually maybe buy something.
And have you gotten a lot of repeat customers through live shopping and sort of building that relationship, and they come back and see a new product that you've put up the next time you're on live?
Yeah, we really leveraged the subscriber function for a while. So we have a lot of repeat customers, and the benefit of our manufacturing method is that we can have new things every day. And my most fun thing we did, my wife they call her Queen Jackie. So all of our followers are obsessed with her because she's the design genius behind all of it. But for the longest time, she's super introverted. She never wanted to get on camera. She was the one behind the camera making the cool product. And it was this whole thing of like, when are we going to get to see Queen Jackie? We finally convinced her to do a subscriber-only live stream, and she felt okay with it because it was a limited audience. So you've got whatever, 150 people, 200 people in there watching you. It wasn't thousands. And she debuted her Queen's exclusives. And it became this whole series we did every single Wednesday. It would be the Queen's exclusives, and she'd have her things. It was the only time she was on camera, and that was all the regulars coming back. And I mean, from a business perspective, you can go do $5,000 in an hour if you do it. I mean, you can go do pretty good sales really, really fast if you really curate that audience that's kind of there. They're anticipating it. They're going to come for it. You have the good product that has to match it. But if you can do that and curate those regulars, I mean, that's a recurring source of revenue that you can get if you have the product that's varied enough to keep them buying it.
Awesome. What about
Yeah,
you?
yeah. I think you bring up a good, because I'm on the other end. You're much more seasoned, it sounds like, when it comes to live, and I wish my co-founder was up here because he does much more of the live side of things than I do. But I think an interesting conversation you have with your team or with yourself is, hey, do I want to punch the lotto tickets on posting videos, or do I want to build more slowly and maybe consistently? Maybe the ceiling is less, but I want to build more of a following on live, and I want to get consistent dollars or consistent sales on live. And we took we were like, we want to punch lotto tickets. I want more videos out there, so an hour spent on live versus an hour spent in the film room. And now this year, I'm like, no, I want to invest in the community. I want to invest in these people who keep coming back, and live is going to be a great place for me to do that. But I think it's a good conversation of how do you want to spend your TikTok time? Do you want to spend it an hour or two on live or a Wednesday night, or do you want to spend filming your content? So just like a behind-the-scenes strategy of how you split your time, or build it into the whole mix of how you spend your TikTok time. But for us, our strategy has always still been playing the games online, and we use it as a discounting strategy, because discounting and promotions is really big on TikTok. So whether it's a game that is just launched and we want it into the hands of really good people, I treat it as a sampling strategy. We're going to maybe break even on that game or lose money, but hey, I'm getting it in the hands of really good people, and that sale is worth $5 on Amazon or whatever it is. So I'm going to get into really good folks who love us, know what we're doing, know the game, can speak for us, and it's a really strong sale. So I'm happy to discount it and let them get a deal, and I get a great customer. So I think that's what happens with live. You can have more of those conversations and be a little more attentive. So there's different ways you can do it. I love that you are like, I'm making an event. People are coming to, this is an event. Ours are more spontaneous and random, so we're not as great at that. And it hasn't been a systematic approach yet. But I think especially at different sizes, I think live can be the best strategy of like, go spend your time all day on there and see what you can do. Behind the scenes, selling things. I think you can get really, really creative. And if you're a great personality on the camera, which it sounds like you are, or hire a great personality, because a lot of founders or a lot of people are like, we want to be behind the scenes. But like you're saying, people want to see the person behind the design or the founder. So it helps to get in front of the camera and communicate with your audience. So that's one of our initiatives. We're trying that more.
Yeah, it's lessons learned in real time. Do either of you work with creators?
Tons.
Okay. Can you tell us what your creator network looks like on TikTok Shop, and what has surprised you about working with them?
Yeah, I have a fun stat. So 2025, we worked with 18,000 we had new affiliate videos. So we work with like the affiliate community. So it's micro influencers, mini influencers, stay-at-home moms, every 5,000 followers, 1,000, 300, 10,000. But we took the strategy after using the higher flat fee influencers for a while and having some success and having some misses. And knowing that, hey, we want a lot of content out there, we want a lot of buzz. And we believe our games are really good. So if they get in the hands of people, they can do a lot of damage with it. So we really invested hard in the affiliate program in 2025. So 18,000 new videos. What was the other stat? Over 150 million affiliate video views in 2025. So all I had to do is click a sample, create communicate with them, check in with them. There's some work attached to it, but in the grand scheme of things, for 150 million eyeballs on it, it's not a heavy lift. So we love using the micro influencer and the affiliate program through TikTok. They have third parties that you can use to help you manage affiliates, but the platform itself is pretty simple to use and send out those samples. So now when we do our production runs, we're like, hey, 1,000 of these are going to TikTok. Samples, affiliates, we're going to launch with them. We're going to let the affiliates do their thing. And it is a numbers game, which sometimes can be frustrating if inventory is limited. You know, we're going to send out 100 samples, and maybe 50 are going to be good videos, and maybe 10 are going to really cross the line, and maybe 1 is going to hit. But that costs you 100 samples. So, but we love the creator community, and then we kind of tier it into using the heavy hitters, the ones we all know and see on our feeds all the time. And I think we're trying to be more selective with make sure it's a right fit. And when it comes to creators, I would recommend people, you're the expert in your product. Yes, they're an expert at creating, but don't be afraid to be the director and say, hey, this is what I want to see in this video. Let's make that happen, because I've made a couple too many mistakes of giving a high-profile creator the freedom to do their thing when I was the expert on my product. I was the expert on my game. So yes, they're good at getting an audience and engaging, but you have a little more expertise in the creator field than you would think, or at least I thought.
Yeah, I will definitely double down on that. I still remember the first time we didn't even know we had an affiliate that had posted a video that was going viral. All of a sudden, we have a product called our Trash Cannibals. It's a little raccoon, skunk, and red panda that's in a trash can. It's adorable. And all of a sudden, those things were flying off the shelves, and I was like, where is this coming from? And we found out it was this little, her username was Jessica on TikTok, and all she did was she just opened this video, opened the trash can, and kind of pulled out and just authentic reaction to it, and she thought it was so cute, and she had this little squeal, and that video was going crazy. And I think it was for 3 months, our revenue, like 50% of our revenue was from her videos. Like it was the coolest moment for me, realizing like I had no investment in that, right? Other than you're paying the commission, which they definitely earned on that. But that really opened my eyes on if you want to scale your content, and you talk about getting eyeballs on your content, it takes hours and hours and hours a day to make 5 videos. I mean, a 30-second video can take an hour and a half, 2 hours just to make that video. But if you can have 18,000 people making videos for you. So affiliate programs, and we use live stream a lot for that. That's how we got some of our most consistent and most engaged affiliates, was they became part of our community to the point that they were then our moderators in our live stream, and they're really part of your team, and we found them through TikTok. But then there's incentive for them too, because they're actually monetarily making something off of this. They're not just loving the brand. There's actually skin in the game, and they're making something off of your product. So the affiliate network can be extremely, extremely powerful. I do agree that with Corey that controlling the message is important. Making sure you give them kind of pointers. So anytime we send out samples, we also have a card that goes with it that says, here's what's been successful. Here's kind of the talking points that we really like to hit on these products. And it is an investment. I mean, we were at one point in time, we were sending out like 500 samples a month. But you got to time it with the right seasons and think through, okay, if I get 500 samples out in August, then they're going to get there in September, and then they're going to make their videos, and they're going to time it for Christmas or whatever it may be. That was a big lesson we learned too, is timing with affiliates and samples matters a lot to hit certain big buying periods.
Yeah, I would add the community of it too. So we create a community of followers, but you can create a community of affiliates that have your product. You already did the shipping cost to them. They have it. And now how can you get them to double down on you because they're getting their great commission and a great reward from it? It's something we haven't done a great job of reinvesting in creators, and that's a big focus for us. Of like 80% of our creators who have brought in the most, or our revenue, have been small, micro, no name, you'd never hear of them. And how do we invest in them and communicate with them to say, hey, Christmas is coming up. What are we going to do? How can we work together? Hey, Valentine's just is coming up. What can we do? So creating that community, whether it's on Discord, a Facebook group, a text chat, whatever it is, get those people who have invested in you from like a outside employee standpoint at that point. They're working for your commission. So a sales rep, I would it's a great way to scale if you can pull it off. It's not hard to pull off.
All right, so as we're coming to sort of the end of our discussion, and all right, we're at Toy Fair. This place is wildly inspiring. So kind of taking things from here to here, what about the toy industry excites you, and what opportunities do you see for brands in the coming year?
It's interesting for me. This is a completely new world for me. I mean, I spent 18 years in aerospace, and the trade shows are way more boring. I'll say that. It's a lot more fun here. But the interesting thing to me is seeing the cyclical trends of things. I mean, things that I found really interesting as a kid. A lot of that stuff is coming back, and I'm seeing a lot of licensed things with different products that are nostalgic. And one thing I always think about, and we felt it in our own business, is that toys are not just for kids. I mean, toys, there's a wide range of people that are playing on this, especially when we talk about board games and other products. There's plenty of adults that need a break from the real world, and they need to be able to play and have some fun with that. And I'm seeing that in a lot of the products, especially downstairs in the launch pad. I've seen some really cool stuff that is not just targeted at kids. It's really meant for all ages. And we do a lot of that with our stuff, too. That was a huge lesson we learned, is that your demographic isn't always who you plan that it's going to be. And I think I'm seeing that around a lot of the booths here, is it's really targeting, yeah, you need to have kids, but adults want to play too. And how do you make that connection? Corey mentioned about bringing people back to the family element and giving something that the parents want to play with the kids and really engaging. I have a 4 and a 7-year-old, and all I want to do is play with them. So if there's something that I genuinely enjoy playing and they enjoy, I think that's a really cool sweet spot if you can hit that with your product.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think there's a lot, at least in my industry with games, there's a big emphasis on how can you make something that, or at least we emphasize, is how can you make something that every generation will enjoy at the same table. So how can the 12-year-old and the 25-year-old, the 50 and the 75, how are they all going to have a great time? And I think a lot of companies out here are doing that, which is really, really cool to see that investment. And just like how we started the conversation, I don't think this style of play is going anywhere. If anything, since COVID, people are continuing to invest in that in the house. So I'm just excited. As I've only been in the industry 3 or 4 years, just to see that investment from the family, that they're like, hey, this is how we want to spend our time. So companies here are choosing to produce more premium, choosing to produce more inclusive, in the games world, higher play counts, more innovative. So I'm excited about the innovation that's coming out, so we don't just have to play Candyland and no offense if you're out there, Candyland, but there's a lot of fun stuff out there that's just new, and they're bringing toy elements into games, and we're bringing things are getting tactile, and maybe I'm just new to the industry and I'm just seeing it all for the first time this last couple of years, but the emphasis on newness is really tough for businesses like mine, and trying to always come up with the next thing. But as a consumer, it's really exciting, right? Because there are so many things that are coming out, and when there's a bunch of new, you need a discovery platform. So that kind of aids perfectly to what TikTok is doing when you can go discover shop.
Yeah, and your point about the nostalgia is well taken. You know, you come to something like Toy Fair and you can't help but feel like a kid again, and then to be able to do that day in and day out, and create that and the bringing the families together, it really is special. All right, so here's your chance to impart some wisdom on folks here. So if you could give one piece of advice to a small business that's new to TikTok Shop or thinking about joining TikTok Shop and looking to get discovered, what would you say?
I would say if you're thinking about it, get on it. I don't think it's a big lift to get on the platform. If you've created any other listing on e-commerce, it's very simple. So hop on the channel, and then it comes to content. And like I think we've hit it pretty hard of just start making content, and like anything, you're probably going to suck at it in the beginning. We were terrible. And if you can keep at just the making the content and learning from your own content, then you're going to start to learn some things. So if you're yourself not the person, like if you're a one-man show or one-woman show or a small operation, I think it's paramount. I've talked to some of the biggest companies here, and they are all saying, I'm like, hey, I'm starting a team, I'm building a department, and they all say, hire a content person. If hire people to film content for you. Yeah, we were talking before the show. It's going to be hard to train them and get your vision from your head onto the into the phone and onto the scroll. But I think that is so important from a market, because it's just a time investment. And if you can get more content out there and learn from it, I think that is the best way you can do it. So experiment, get as much out there as you can. And if you're a game company, play your games on camera. I promise you it'll work. I think scaling as well, like even if you're just trickling in sales, it's a new 5 sales a day, 10 sales a day, whatever it is, over 365 days, that really adds up. So if you're not getting a viral spike, those will come and go. You can never really rely on those. Don't judge your success off a viral moment. That's a lot harder to capture. But TikTok Shop's proven to be a platform that you can sell any price point, you can sell any product on there. So give it a go. I just think invest in it, hire someone. If you're not if you don't think you have the talent for it or the time, but get someone on it. TikTok is investing in us right now too, so it's an exciting time to be involved.
Yeah, my big thing I would say is also patience. One thing that we felt, it kind of was a roller coaster for us. So when we joined the platform, we had literally 0 followers, and then we had that first product really hit, and we invested in more machines, and we spent all this money, and we built this thing, and we're like, hey, we've hit the lottery. We're just going to ride this thing. And then a week later, all of a sudden, the views are back to 200, 300 views on a video, and you're just like, what did I just do? We've been through that roller coaster enough now to know that it does come back, that you just kind of have to have faith and keep pushing. But the other piece of it, and we were talking earlier, is sometimes we've had videos that when you post it, it doesn't really do well. And then a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later or something, all of a sudden that video that you're not even focusing on, all of a sudden that got traction for whatever reason it may be. So one thing we do is we look at the more macro level metrics as well, not necessarily the video you posted today or you posted yesterday. How many views does that have? The studio side of it has a really good platform where you can look at it from a high level. So have patience, look at it from the higher level, and just keep at it.
Awesome. Very quickly, where can folks find you here?
We are at booth 6640 downstairs in the launch pad. It's Bip by Bump is our retail brand there. That we've got that, so we'll see you down there.
Yeah, booth 144, Lost Boy Entertainment, all the way on the other wall. You'll find us. And then, LinkedIn is just my name, Corey Schrimpl. And then Lost Boy Games on TikTok if you want to go watch us play some games.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. This has been wonderfully inspiring, and I've certainly learned a lot. Let's give these folks a round of applause.
Good job, man.